As always, projected standings are based upon FiveThirtyEight's CARM-Elo rankings. This version of the mock uses projections as of Jan. 20, with 4 teams battling to be the very worst at basketball. Duke freshman Zion Williamson continues to blow up college basketball, but the teams he plays and the freshmen around him have interesting stories as well from within Williamson's orbit. Blast off, if you trust any team to swoop in and develop a questionable prospect like Bazley, who is sitting out the season to prepare for the draft, it's the Spurs, who received this pick as a byproduct of the Kawhi Leonard trade with Toronto. The junior Jerome is on pace to take and make a career high in threes this year, sitting at 40% on the season. He could smoothly transition into Quinn Cook's role and bring a higher defensive floor as well as more ingenuity moving off the ball in the half-court. Look at what Milwaukee has done with DJ Wilson and you'll quickly understand the value of grabbing modern two-way players in the draft as the Bucks roster gets more expensive. Both Eric Bledsoe and Chris Middleton are free agents this summer, so Milwaukee will need as many cheap depth pieces like the senior Paschall as they can find. Paschall is shooting 37% on 5.9 three-point attempts per 40 minutes and brings from Villanova a comfort in switching on defense and playing quickly. Breakouts from all three of their backcourt trio of Spencer Dinwiddie, Karis LeVert and D'Angelo Russell this season. The Nets can use this pick, which they get from Denver as a result of the Kenneth Faried trade, to focus on the wing. Could White be a B- version of the player Markelle Fultz was supposed to be? Check out our full scouting report on Kobe White. Horton Tucker is flying up draft boards as a result of the Cyclones' strong play in their Big 12 schedule, his basketball IQ and his high ranking in advanced defensive statistics. It feels like if Jones and Kobe White are both here, the Thunder will use the opportunity to replace Raymond Felton with a guard who has more potential to develop behind Russell Westbrook and Dennis Schroeder. It's Jones' defensive upside that gives him the leg up here. Check out our full scouting report on Trey Jones. Within the weekend SEC, it wouldn't be tough to imagine Tennessee finishing the year as the No. 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament. Duke now has 2 losses, Michigan 1, while Tennessee may not lose. The man behind that dynamic play and resurgence in Knoxville is Williams, who does everything for this squad and has the size to play multiple positions in the NBA. Williams is probably more important for Tennessee, but Schofield feels like the kind of guy who will impress in workouts and at the NBA Draft Combine in May due to this ripped frame and prolific shooting. The Rockets play hardball with Danuel House Jr., the starter for much of their return to form in December and January. Schofield fits their system nicely on both ends and could act as a cheap depth piece moving forward. With the success of players like Jarrett Allen, Domantas Sabonis, and Ivica Zubac, and even rookie Robert Williams III in Boston, for playoff teams this season, one wonders whether we are already reversing course and valuing more highly big men who can rebound, protect the rim and finish. Gatford checks all 3 boxes. Dort arrived in Tempe 1 year too late. It would have been fantastic to watch the Canadian prospect on last year's Arizona State team alongside the guard-U tandem of Shannon Evans and T.R.A. Holder. If there's any team who can coax good habits out of Hachimura, it's the Spurs. Oh, and they won't mind his mid-range happy offensive game. As phenom Zion Williamson threatens to absolutely break the box-plus-minus statistic, Clark lingers just behind him with a versatile skill set that provides defensive playmaking, rebounding and elite finishing ability for a great Gonzaga team. Clark is the best player on a squad that could give the NBA 3 first-rounders. This pick, originally from the Clippers, could allow Boston to fill in their center depth behind Al Horford and Aaron Baines, both of whom are likely to depart eventually as Boston tries to build a perpetual contender. Check out our full scouting report on Jontay Porter. New Orleans would breathe a sigh of relief if Ekpala fell to them. He's the type of wing with size and playmaking ability they've been desperate for the entirety of Anthony Davis's career. Porter falls to Brooklyn, who has a backlog of playmakers but loves to stockpile talent, due to injury and attitude concerns in his ongoing problems at USC. Next, 14. The surging Nets and falling Mavs mix up the lottery page. Too few in the country have taken a bigger sophomore leap than Alexander Walker, cousin to the Clippers' Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who stayed at Virginia Tech for a second season despite getting first-round buzz last summer. The 20-year-old combo guard has taken the reins of the Hokies' offense and helped turn it into the third most efficient in the country. Coach Buzz Williams' system is tailor-made to attack zone defenses, with a point guard and Justin Robinson who takes care of the ball and decides who is allowed to shoot and when. He does so by simply tossing that player the ball, and most often this year it's been Alexander Walker on the finishing end of a slash and kick set. Alexander Walker is scoring 22.5 points per 40 minutes, up from 16.8 last season. He has an unfathomable 65.3 true shooting percentage and is even tossing 6.6 assists per 40 for Virginia Tech as well. Monday night in Durham against the Tar Heels. Despite a Hokies loss, Alexander Walker made the most of his minutes. If not for his foul trouble, Virginia Tech is probably closer in this game. Alexander Walker scored 19 points on 14 shots, nailing his first 4 three-pointers to create an early lead for the Hokies. Nickel Alexander Walker is an incredible shooter, but I've liked how his jumper has gotten a little more versatile this year. Nails this one off the bounce with most of the Hokies starters on the bench. He's been more of a go-to scorer for them this year. Pic.twitter.com/B49lorgs. Brendan Clean, at BrendanClean14, January 22, 2019. But it's not just Alexander Walker. Every player on the Virginia Tech roster has the green light. Putting the ball in the hands of Alexander Walker, who has the size to finish against big men and over the top of guards, will be the key for Virginia Tech to make a run this year and uncover the true ceiling for their sophomore star. Next, 13. Boston Celtics, via Sacramento Kings, page 3. Use your arrows to browse Berlin, Germany, May 14, Sekou Doumbouya. Photo by Patrick Albertini per exabyte via Getty Images. Doumbouya is expected back sometime in early to mid-February. That doesn't give him a lot of time to get back into form and show NBA talent evaluators that he is more than a raw prospect and cement himself in the top 10. Until then, it's tough to know what you're getting with Doumbouya. He is a delightful player to watch, doing a little of this and a little of that pretty effortlessly at age 18. The problem is he's not great at any one thing. That's fine. Many players fit this description when they enter the draft pool. But fewer are injured leading up to the draft and are as young as Doumbouya. There is a certainly risk involved with picking him unless he shows more, and more consistently, the rest of his season. However, Boston doesn't need to worry about instant contribution. The Celtics roster is in constant flux, trading one youngster for another and building toward a championship. Their solid player development work and egalitarian culture would be nice for Doumbouya's diverse skill set, and he would become a fantastic asset for them if not an instant contributor. This pick comes from the Kings, a byproduct of the Nick Stauskas trade and then the Markelle Fultz deal. It may not even end up in the lottery if Sacramento can battle into a playoff spot by the end of the season. Next, 12. Washington Wizards. Use your arrows to browse